Yeah, I'm coming. I just had to hit play on the camera. So, you've heard of this place, Flavor Town. We're going to take a trip there. People think of it, they dream of it, they don't really understand what Flavor Town's about. So let me take you on a journey. We're going to make some pea soup. Might make some homemade croutons maybe to put on it. I'm not sure yet. We'll think about it. But I'm just going to show you how to make a nice pot of soup. I'm supposed to get a winter storm where I'm at today. And it just sounded good. I got some ham to use up that's been in my freezer. Nice big ham bone. And a nice mirepoix. Cook it up in the Dutch oven. It's going to be delicious. And I'll show you how I do that. Oh, here's a cat. Here. Who's this? Who's this guy? I got Kitty O'Doyle. That's his name. It was Apollo, but now my son wants to call him Kitty O'Doyle. We'll start calling him that. You want to cook soup with me? No? You just like cat food? Alright. That's it. Let's go. Come on. Flavor Town. My veggies here for the soup today. They're already cleaned up. I've prepped a little bit. The knife I'm using here, I found this on Amazon. It's a Japanese knife, but this thing has held its edge so well in the last couple of years. The brand of that was the box here. It's, you can see that, Yoshihiro Cutlery, made in Japan. I think it was like maybe $250, but I have some other knives, German knives and stuff, Wusthof. Nothing has held an edge good for me more than like this knife has, but there's also like Shun makes good knives. There's a lot of good companies out there, but I'm just going to dice up some of these veggies here. This is celery, carrot, onion. I think it's the French word, but it's called mirepoix. It's your base vegetables for a soup or a stew, or if you're making homemade stocks. I'm going to start with the onion here. So I clean this up. Usually that little root ball on the end of the onion, I never cut through that because I want to take care of my knives and stuff, and there's dirt and all kinds of shit in there, so I already started this, but I stopped myself because I want to show you. So I cut almost all the way through. I kind of roll it almost right up to that root. And it'll either like just pop off a little bit, or you can just pull it apart. So, onion gunk all over here. Okay. I'm just doing a dice for a soup, so I'm gonna do a few slices in this way. This knife sometimes scares me because it's so sharp. A few dices that way, then you come down almost all the way. I'm going almost all the way through, but not quite. And then you come this way, and then you just make your dice. Brush it off the blade as I'm going. You don't have to, but I just don't want the shit getting in my way. Usually they say too, like, you want to leave about a quarter of the onion left. There's not as much flavor in that last bit as there is in the whole onion. I don't know if that's true or not, but I usually leave that much, or sometimes a little bit more. So I'm using one full onion for this soup. I'm doing a pea soup today. I already said that, I'm sorry. But just gonna dice up these veggies here. You always want to keep your knuckles against the blade. You don't want your fingertips in front of the blade. You want to curl them. Just keep your knuckles to the blade. Basic knife work rules, right? onions all diced up. I do have some bacon too. I'm gonna render some bacon down to add to this pea soup, and I have a big ham bone and ham that's gonna cook in there also. But I can get these veggies cut up, and then we'll get on to that. For carrots, depends how you want them cut. You can do like a small dice, whatever, but when they're round, they tend to roll. What some people do is you can cut off just a portion, not of your finger, of the carrot, to make a flat bottom like that, so then it won't roll, and then it's easier to manage. You could cut a few slices out of it like that. Little cubes like this. That size is about a medium dice. And if they're huge like this too and curved, like, cut it in half, make it more manageable. Be safe, right? What I like to do sometimes though too is I get my hand right out of the way, and I'll find like the half of that carrot, and then just do them this way. So once you cut it in half, it gets that flat and it ain't rolling around on you. I'm gonna keep going with like a medium dice on these. This one I'm just going to cut, it's kind of skinny. I'm running out of room here, too many veggies on my frame. I'll say again, this is called I'm just going to half these carrots. Celery, carrot, onion, that's called a mirepoix. I believe that's a French word. I don't know the exact meaning of it, but this is your base vegetables for a soup, a stock, maybe a stew. I don't know if I want all this carrot in there. I'm gonna do like half of that carrot. I'll eat that one. I guess I should try it and see how it tastes. Yep. Tastes like a carrot. Fresh. So these I'm only using half. If I want to do like thirds of that length or something like that, it's getting risky. Like I could slip off and cut yourself. So if they're skinny, just quarter them. There's no right or wrong way, you just cut them up. There's our veggies, that's the start. So we'll get some bacon rendering down. We'll be adding some garlic to this soup. I like garlic and everything. These are some big bulbs here. I'm probably going to do maybe all three of these though. I want to show you a trick. So the garlic has like the root butt right here and the tip of that. Instead of like peeling with it and fighting with it, I cut right through almost all the way on each end. And then you grab this little butt that's cut almost all the way off, and the peel comes off the other side. So then what you're left with is the rest. Makes it really easy to peel. And then obviously the old smash method, right? Gets the peel off almost quicker. Look, I'll leave half the peel on there. Give it a smash. And the rest really falls off if you just smash it. These I'm just gonna do kind of a thick slice on it. Because a soup that's cooking down for a long time, those flavors will like slowly emanate out of the garlic, so. But I don't want to eat any garlic peels. I always do that. I cut the little tails off almost all the way, and then the rest almost just peels off with it. Real easy. Whenever you get that garlic peel, sometimes under like your fingernail, it hurts so bad. Hate that. Anyway, I'm not gonna smash it because I'm just gonna make some nice thick slices. And all these scraps too from all these veggies, not so much onion or garlic, but I have a vegetable garden outside. These are not out of my veggie garden. I already ate most of them from last season, but I have seedlings started right now for this year. But my little carrot scraps, celery, any of that goes into my little compost bin that I have. I'll usually keep like my pantry is kind of cold, so I'll keep like a little bucket or a coffee can with like half soil and then half compost in my pantry. So then I just add those throughout the winter, kind of keep shaking it up, make sure there's some ventilation, and then I add that to my larger compost pile outside for the veggie garden. So there's the garlic, and we're all set. For this pea soup, I'm doing it in this Dutch oven. I love this thing for anything like braising ribs or soup, stews. I got it on about a medium heat. So what I want to do is I cut up some bacon into these strips, lardons. It's just a small like matchstick cut or cube of pork, usually like pork belly. I think it's a French term also, but I'm gonna put these in here. These are gonna render down. And I have a lot of ham going into this, so I don't need a lot of meat. It's just like a little flavor, and I'm gonna cook off some of my mirepoix with some of this fat. It's gonna be a nice rich flavor. I started that a little bit warm, but I'm gonna turn it down a little less than medium. Just kind of slowly let that render. That'll probably take about maybe a half hour at least. Once I start getting real low on the heat, I'll slowly turn it down and let all that fat drain out of it. It smells good. Who doesn't like bacon? While I cook down those bacon lardons, I want to make sure that fat that rendered out is still warm enough. I'll take one piece of onion and throw it in there. I hear it sizzling, so I can add the rest of my onion right now. And I'll let the onion cook for a few minutes first, just to kind of get that sweating first, and then I'll add my carrot, followed by my celery. These are just going to sweat down about a medium heat. Let these go for about 10 minutes, and I'll start adding my other ingredients to it. Once these onions are a little bit translucent, I'm going to add the rest of my ingredients here. So I'm adding my carrots and my celery. This is still on about a medium heat. I have all that mirepoix ingredients. There's a little bit of that bacon fat in the bottom. They're just cooking down in that. And all the little tiny bits, the little flavor pieces of bacon and everything in the bottom that's going to be kind of stuck on there. It's called a fond. And we're going to deglaze that with, I'll show you when we get there. But we'll let these cook up a little bit longer. About another 10 minutes or so on a medium heat, and then I'll show you what's after that. Once these veggies kind of cook together and the flavors meld a little bit together, I am going to add the garlic I cut up earlier. It's just like a thick slice. It's going to cook down in the soup. I'm also going to just hit it with a little bit of season, a little salt and pepper. And a pinch of salt, a couple pinches. I season it throughout the cook, like I season it more towards the end also, but just the start of these veggies, a little season. It's probably really loud, right? So there's all these brown bits kind of stuck in the bottom there. You can deglaze it with like a soup, depending on the type, to use a white wine, or just your stock, vegetable stock. I'm using a chicken stock for this one. You can deglaze with that, but I'm also, for this soup, I like how the flavors come out sometimes with like a mild like beer for deglaze, so I'm going to use a Modelo. And right now I'm just going to hit this with maybe like a couple tablespoons worth. And it's just going to deglaze all them flavors. It's going to break up all those little bits off the bottom. Giving you more of a nice, kind of a rich base to your soup. It's kind of like your base sauce. So I can see that kind of cleaned up the bottom already. You want to let any alcohol, anything you're using, the cognac, wine, you want to let it just cook off for a couple minutes. Cooks off the alcohol. That'll add a nice flavor to it. It smells really good right now. Even with the garlic notes that are coming through right now. Into my nose. It smells good. I'm still on a medium heat right here. I will start adding some stock as soon as this is ready to do that. Sometimes too, even though I have the bacon fat in there as a fat, I will add like a butter or something, another just kind of a rich fat. I like rich hearty soup. Sometimes too rich is too much, but I might add a little piece of butter. Just add a little hunk of butter to that. Unsalted butter. Always. I don't know why they do salted butter. Why wouldn't you just want to season to taste? Taste to season taste. If you just add a bunch of salted butter, how do you know what you're getting out of it? I mean, you can taste it, but so some nice aromatics coming out of there right now. It smells great. Now I'm gonna add this box, 32 ounce of chicken stock. You can use your own homemade stock. It would always be better if you did that, but I don't have any right now, so this is gonna work just fine. And I will add some more water to this in a little while. Almost double what that was. So I'd do like another 32 ounces, maybe a little more of water, and then I would season it again. I'm going to slowly bring this up to a simmer. I'm going to turn up the heat a little bit because that broth probably cooled it down. So I also have a big piece of ham with a bone in it that I'm going to set in here also while it's cooking. One more thing I forgot to mention was I have a couple red potatoes I'm going to add to this. This is going to add to the creaminess, and the starch is going to play a nice part in the overall finished product. So I'm just kind of roughly cubing this up. We're going to add those right in there. And at this point too, I'm also going to put the ham in there. So I have a large piece of ham with the bone in it. That's going to sit right in there. Cook along with this. Alright. So I added a little more water to this, and right now I'm going to add about half the peas. This takes a while to cook. And I'm also going to add a few more seasonings while this is going to simmer away. Got a few bay leaves. I'm going to do a pinch of rosemary. A little bit of ground thyme. I don't really measure stuff, really. I kind of eyeball it. I'd say probably a teaspoon of rosemary, teaspoon of thyme, I'm going to do a little pinch of paprika. In a little while, I'm going to let this go for about a half hour. And then I'll add the rest of the peas. I kind of want to see how much these expand and fill up, whether I need more liquid or not. It's just going to simmer away for a while. Probably let this simmer for about an hour at least. And then we'll come back to it at that point and see how we're looking. For right now, I'm going to cover this up. Turn the heat down a little bit so I don't overflow and boil over. Add my lid. We'll come back to that in a little while. So while the soup's simmering away here, I just cut up some kind of bigger pieces for croutons. This is off of a loaf of French bread. So I'm just gonna hit this with a little olive oil, drizzle on there. And real light seasoning. And then these are gonna bake off in the oven for about just 20 minutes to a half hour. So you want them just a little bit soft inside still. And then probably at a temp about 350. I'm just gonna hit this with a little bit of garlic powder. A little bit of onion powder. Dash of Italian seasoning. That's it. These are gonna be delicious. So I'm gonna toss these around, and then they're gonna go right in the oven. So this has been simmering for about 45 minutes now. It's looking pretty good. I did have to add a little more water. It's starting to get thick. I did add the rest of the peas, and I added the little bacon lardons that I had previously cooked up. And I added some extra ham pieces that I have. The bone is still roasting away in there. I'm gonna try a little bit. I did add a little more salt and pepper also. I'm gonna see how this is tasting so far. Tastes just like pea soup is supposed to taste. It's really good. Savory, flavorful. I'll let this keep going a little bit longer, and then I'm going to pull the bone out, cut any meat off of that. And I also did pop my croutons in the oven, so those will be done pretty quick. Pretty good. Alright, we'll let it go a little bit longer. So this is about all set, pretty close here. I'll show what we got going on. So I did, it's probably cooked for over 2 hours, so it's like a slow simmer. All those flavors meld together. When you kind of just do it slow, take it easy. I don't have to emulsify it because I did hit it a little bit with a whisk, and honestly, came pretty nice and creamy after that. So I'm gonna, that's all I did. I just whisked it. And it's kind of thick. It's not bad. I might like it a little bit thinner. Because once it sets up in the fridge too, it's like it gets pretty thick after a day or two. But as far as like chunks and stuff, I did add, I cut up one more half an onion, just so there's some like fresh little kind of crunchy bits. Not crunchy, but you know what I mean. But yeah, just a little whisk kind of broke down everything that was in there. So now it's really creamy. There was some ham I threw in there earlier, and the ham bone I pulled out of there, so I'm gonna show you what I got here. So I took out the ham bone and I broke down all the meat that was off of that. So I'm gonna add this right back into it. found a few bay leaves floating in there. I pulled those out. You don't want to eat a bay leaf or find one on accident. But I think this is good consistency for like meat to soup ratio. Looks pretty good. And it tastes really good. I did have a taste. But you always gotta just keep tasting it. I think you just gotta keep tasting it over and over because it's part of cooking. So let's see how this tastes. It's very good. Very rich. Rich, creamy. I don't think I need to add anything else. I think this is pretty well set up. I might do another little splash of water, so let me do that. Probably, let's see. About a cup. That looks pretty good. And you could have this thinner and more like brothy, soupy consistency if you wanted to, but. So I'm gonna try another little sample of that for a sec. Rinse my spoon off because I just ate off this spoon, but let's try it again. Tastes good, all the flavors are still there. Sometimes if you add a bunch more water, you want to like re-season it. Salt, pepper. So yeah, that's looking pretty good. Now the heat is off. I'm just gonna keep the lid on this and let all these flavors kind of sit for a while. The longer you sit, soup is, it's always better like 2 days later. So we're gonna let this sit, and let me show you real quick though. I did cook off some croutons. So I got some of these. A little garnish, a nice little bowl of soup, and that'll be delicious. So this will sit for a while, and it's about dinner time.